right, I have 6 o'clock, so let's open the meeting.
Okay.
We'll open the meeting of Tuesday, February 17th, West Brookfield Select Board. The first item on our agenda this evening is the minutes for January 20th and February 3rd. Open meetings and minutes for February 3rd, executive session. So everyone had a chance to review them?
Yep, I did.
Yeah.
Trying to see which one's for which, so.
Looks good on my end.
Oh, this is- I'll make a motion to approve the January 20th, 2026 minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of February 3rd regular session minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right?
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the executive session minutes for February 3rd, 2026.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Right?
Aye.
Next on our agenda is the LWPA.
Okay. Hi
All
there.
you guys.
Aye.
Mary Beth Salja, Lakeway Water Preservation Association. We'd like to ask the Board of Selectmen to consider moving the responsibilities of the lake management from the Board of Health into the Conservation Commission. We were founding members of Regional Organization of Lakes and Ponds.
Organization of organizations.
There we are. And so out of 14 of them, 12 of them who responded to our ask, their weed management program is overseen by the Conservation Commission. Conservation Commission also has to issue the notice of intent and order of conditions for the actual chemical applications that we use. And it would cut down on our steps as far as getting the licensing done and going forward with the management. So we wouldn't have to go to Board of Health and Conservation, we could just go to Conservation. We've talked a little bit about this with Conservation, and they seem very open to it. 80% of the work that they do focuses around Lake Wickabog, so they thought it would be a naturally good fit. But we didn't know the process or why, we know why we were with the Board of Health all these years, but didn't know what the process that would be to make that move. So here we are.
I don't know what the process would be either, so.
So it's currently in the purview of the Board of Health, and you're requesting to have it put under Conservation.
Correct.
And
Its budget has always been independent as a line item in the omnibus, though. It's never been under Board of Health per se.
well, right, but
Yeah.
Somebody
their
needs
budget
to
has
oversee it.
been under, the Board of Health is the one that submits it, right?
Yeah.
So,
Correct.
I think we'd have to really look into that because Board of Health operates pretty much autonomously. What I do recall happening, but it was a different situation than going from Board of Health to Conservation, but I do remember in a town where the Select Board had decided that they wanted animal control to be removed from the Board of Health's purview and placed under theirs, and legal opinion was rendered and it had to actually go to town vote. And so I don't know that you have the jurisdiction to make that decision because Board of Health is a regulatory,
Right.
And elected officials as well.
elected, they're autonomous, and they do have a lot of weight. So,
Yeah.
I did look at or have discussion and found that I was told that the it was years ago when it was put under the Board of Health, but it had been in response to the Board of Health is the only one that has authority to shut the lake down immediately if there was a posed health threat.
You mean like there's an algae bloom?
Yeah, whereas Concom could shut it down within 48 hours, but it was a 48-hour process, whereas Board of Health is, well, it's health, so.
Right.
So I don't know that, for
Yeah.
sure, but I would,
We need to get some information.
Yeah.
yeah.
I was there. I was there when it started,
Yeah.
and you are 100% correct.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
when we first started, when we revitalized the Lake Wickabog Preservation Association back in 1998, Conservation did have a lot of apprehension about doing it, and we had to bring in the DEP. We met a lot with DEP to come in and help educate us
Sure.
all
Mhm.
about, weed management and so forth. And at that time, because like you say, Conservation wouldn't have didn't have the authority to close the lake. And back then, we actually had algae blooms. We would have at least 2 a summer, not cyanobacteria that we see now,
Ugh.
but we would treat regularly for algae, which thankfully we haven't had to do in the last bunch of years.
Yeah.
3-4 years
At
anyway,
least.
at least, since we treated for algae.
So the circumstance is a little bit different with needing that immediate shutdown. And I think too, if we needed to shut it down, I think Board of Health still would.
It's only a phone call, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Board of Health would be like, no, we're
But
not
what
gonna
I'm
shut the
saying
lake
is I
down.
Yeah,
don't
I
know
think-
that there is legal jurisdiction for this board to take any action when it comes to
Okay.
placing something or removing something from the purview of the Board of Health, and that's what needs to be determined.
Gotcha.
I would also recommend that perhaps what we could do is have a joint meeting with the Board of Health, with with you folks, maybe even Conservation, just to kind of iron everything out
Yeah.
and make sure, everything is good and will be set in
I
place.
think that would be a good idea, once we get information about the
Mhm.
legalities
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
are required, and if we need to go to town, that way we could inform all the boards at the
Right,
same time, this
exactly.
is what we've
Yeah.
received for
Well,
information.
I mean, what we're really, correct me if I'm wrong though, because there's no formal document saying LWPA works with Board of Health, is there?
There might be.
It's more of a line item in their budget, the
WLPA,
Lake Wickabog Preservation Association.
right, but you guys,
We're
They have the lake
independent, we're
they're
an independent
independent.
nonprofit.
they're
Right.
not part of
Right.
the town.
But they're the one, they really oversee the lake as far as keeping it clean
Right.
and controlling the weeds and everything else. That's why we formed the lake committee a few years ago.
It was my
As,
understanding from David that the Lake Committee was formed because of the dam?
Yes, so that was a
Yeah.
liability, Roland, you remember this
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
And maybe Brad was part of that, I can't remember.
But
it was a few
it's
years
separate
ago.
and different from the weed control.
Correct.
So it has nothing, that
Okay.
committee has nothing to do with that. And we
Okay.
also can't mix up the fact that they are a separate entity.
No, definitely.
But our budget is
Right.
paying for this weed control, so.
Right, and somebody needs to, in the town, when you're spending taxpayer dollars, somebody needs to sign off that the work's been done, that is the town, whether it's the
Yeah,
Board of
and-
Health, Conservation,
But
somebody.
Well,
In
yeah,
addition
actually,
to that,
it's us that signs off, guys, when
those-
we make that recommendation to the Board of
this
Health.
committee has been
Right,
working
Board of
very
Health has the
closely
ultimate
through
say.
that, or anyway, David has been very much on top of what's happening with Solitude and all of that, which is not uncommon for that to take place, for them to have a role like that. That's
Yeah.
not uncommon at all, but, yeah. that-
Mary Beth and you had both mentioned taking their line item budget and making it an article this year instead of
Well, I had put it out there, thinking that it would be, I could see some benefits to it. I see, there's several towns that I'm aware of that handle it that way. Because it's not really a matter of operating, it's not an operational budget per se. And so what they do is they handle it as a separate article just for that. It's very clear, but it's not buried into a budget. So it's not like this big omnibus and it's stuck in there somewhere. The way I see it is it's very difficult to manage a contract that by nature overlaps 2 fiscal years, because that's
just
when the
thinking,
services are provided. They start in spring, they end in fall. So now you're crossing 2 years.
Right.
Now you haven't spent all that money that you have already signed that you're going to
Yep.
pay this contractor to do the work, but the end of the fiscal year has occurred.
Pre-closes,
Now,
yeah.
some would say, well, couldn't we encumber? They have asked that question. They cannot encumber legally. Our town accountant does not have she can't facilitate that legally because the work has not been done yet. It's not completed until the fall, but fiscal year ends June 30th.
Right.
So you have all of this work. Now what that means is Donna has no choice. She can't encumber it
Right, gotta
legally,
close the
so she
fund.
has to close it out to the general fund.
Yep.
This happens every single year, whereas when it's an article, it lives there. And so
Yep.
there's no fiscal year ending those funds. It's there until the money is used, and so let's say you set aside, I don't know, 20,000 in that article. And let's say at the end of the year, it came up to 15,000 and some change, and all the work was done. Well, now whatever's left over stays in
Stays
that
there.
article. So next year, you may not have to request the 20,000, you could ask for 15,000, that type of thing. That makes it easier for accounting purposes. My other thought is, knowing that we have to reduce the budget so much, well, it would take it out of the budget, so we'd be reduced that number. The one thing I had not done was to discuss it with Board of Health, and perhaps I should have. I put it out to our town accountant and our financial consultant to mull over and get what their thoughts are. So feedback's been, as far as I've heard back from John. He thought that would be a good way to handle it. Donna, though, has a few questions, and then my follow-up with Board of Health, they would certainly have some questions too. But that's what I had been thinking and, had discussed as a possible option that we could look at doing.
Mary Beth, yeah?
That's actually how it started, when we first came to the town requesting the funds to do the weed management. It was originally an article.
Yeah.
Could
And-
you tell me how did it change from the article?
That's the piece of the
to,
puzzle I'm missing.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm missing that piece of the puzzle.
My guess is
because-
it's somewhere along the lines, one of the town accountants decided it should be done that way instead of the other way.
Oh,
Somewhere along the lines.
Or it could also be a risk issue. If somebody had fear the article wouldn't pass during the annual town meeting, then there'd be no money to clean the lake. So,
see, and
It could-
the other thing
that's the
that,
one downside
yeah,
of having it
I
in the
could see
article.
that. The other positive that I saw to it was that the only real discussion that takes place about the weed control is during the budget, like with advisory,
Yeah.
Board of Health, and these folks.
right.
But your voters, they don't know. It's not, like, when it's an article, your voting population, the voters that show up, have the opportunity to ask questions. If nothing else, in the article explanations, they'd understand what that's for, So I also think it adds an element of
I believe I
transparency
just
to
got
it.
muted.
But,
Yep.
I can hear you.
yeah, those were just my thoughts. I mean, we can bring it up and certainly discuss it more when we have a joint meeting. I do feel remiss about not having a full discussion with the Board of Health on that.
I'm sorry to interrupt again, we did suggest that when I met with the
Oh.
Board of Health in November.
Oh,
I followed up with an email also in November to get us all on the same page, because we needed to kind of streamline this process. It's a contract, it's not, we can't overthink this, it's 28 years in the making, you know, as we've talked about, right? And, you know, I didn't hear back, and because we're just a little organization in town, I don't have any authority to say, hey, let's all get in the same room and have a meeting. You know, I asked, Conservation was open to it, and then we just never heard back from the Board of Health, so.
Gotcha.
And we're still, now is the time, I mean,
Yeah.
Dave's in the middle of doing the RFP.
Well,
and
there are
that-
two things. We have a contract and a budget process, so I think getting clarity on this for those processes sooner than later is.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so if we can facilitate that meeting,
Great.
that'd be
Okay.
great.
I think facilitate the meeting and also get some information where we stand
Yep.
legally with changing, so that way at that meeting, we'd be able to share that information, would be helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, Teresa, I'm a little confused, we don't have to settle it tonight, but what would go on the warrant would be an article for a single year. What we're intending to do is to get a multi-year contract with funding on
Yeah.
an annual basis.
We can only fund 1 year at a time in the budget, though.
Right.
So
that's
that still
what
comes
I'm
out of the
asking.
budget 1 year at a
Right.
time.
How does that, how do we bridge that?
Yeah, we'd have to, if we do end up going forward seeking a multi-year, we would have to, that contract would have to contain language that says
Subject to funding.
contingent
Yeah, yeah,
upon,
of course.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so maybe it would be best to go single. You know, we can certainly talk about that.
I'm open to whatever is easiest
You know.
for everybody,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
They
we
can-
always do it subject to available funding, because we
Sure.
don't know what we're gonna spend until we get an assessment and a plan to address what we've assessed.
Right, just be able
So,
to,
yeah.
as long as the contract language has it, that you're able to cancel the contract if funding is not appropriated.
No, we don't have to avail ourselves of any services.
Right, that's what I'm
We can leave
saying.
the contract open, but we don't commit to any fund being applied
Yeah.
other than an initial inspection, permitting, and a year-end report. That's what we commit to.
Yeah,
And then everything else is predicated on when we do a survey, that defines the work to be done. If we can't afford it, we can't do it. So
Yeah.
none of that is implied that we're
yeah,
gonna
because
fund it.
the appropriation would just have to come
Yes.
annually,
Yeah.
because we just couldn't afford to do 3 years in one shot.
But if that can bridge
Appropriation.
fiscal years, somehow, can't we, that would be
Well,
paradise
yeah.
for us.
So it would with the article.
Yeah, the article would, and the appropriation just annually, the contract could span RFP once for a 3-year period of time.
What would you guys need from us
Mm.
to facilitate this next meeting? What type of history, what type of background would you like us to have? I mean, I could maybe get Al Collins to come down here, the granddaddy of all this.
Well, I think it comes
Um,
down to, step one is, are we convinced that this is a good thing to do, or even the right thing to do? The second is, how do we get it done? So if we need to convince you it's the right thing to do, we can work on that. How we get it done is up to you guys. I can't tell you how to do it, but.
Well, I think we need everybody in the room
Yeah.
to determine if it's the right thing to do.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, because everybody has a different
And-
piece of it that they
yeah,
understand
and-
better than
and Teresa
the
can
others.
figure out how we can get it done at the same time that we're,
Yeah,
But just rest assured that the precedent is there, you know,
yeah,
with other lakes are usually managed by conservation.
yeah. We just need to find out here why
Why?
and what's going on.
Yeah.
We're not aware of, maybe. And maybe Teresa, you could check with Don about if there's a multi-year contract, but it has that language in it, would that be sufficient?
Mhm.
If it was only appropriated annually, would that be okay? So that way we'd have that information at the meeting as well.
Right. Yeah, we'd like to commit to supplier and pricing with escalators if they want to do that, but get that commitment and not have to do that every year if we didn't have to.
Right, that's what I'm
And then
thinking.
budgeting, of course, according to what the town can afford.
As long as it
and
has
what our
that language,
projections- yeah.
and if
Mhm.
Donna's looking for a particular thing,
Yeah.
it being a multi-year but only appropriated once a year, is that,
Yeah, yeah.
One of the
Okay.
big saves with that is legal.
Sure,
Going back and forth
absolutely.
with the terms
Yeah.
and conditions every
Yep.
year, so.
Well, they do. I noticed that last year.
We got
That
all
was,
hung up last year, I don't want
Yeah.
to do
It
that
was-
again. Teresa suggested, let's send them the town template right up front with the RFP, and I think
Yeah.
that's a great idea.
okay.
anything else regarding the lake?
Not from us,
All
I think you
right.
know where we're coming from, we're just trying to make it easy for everybody. so.
Yeah, absolutely.
More efficient.
Moving on, next item on our agenda is the dog hearing decision review continuance.
Michael Terry is here, so.
He can't see us.
I guess so. Thank you, honestly.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Dr. Cameron.
You can hear us when we talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know who wants to start.
Yeah.
Does he want?
Michael, you can hear us, correct?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Well,
Yep, it began with these folks reaching out,
Okay.
and so,
Actually, it wasn't us who
Oh,
initially
okay.
reached, and I was wondering why other people aren't here that, that were involved last time. I just got a call
Yeah.
from somebody.
That was me.
Oh,
Yep, because
okay.
you
Yeah,
asked
asking
about
to
that.
come.
We thought we'd put it on this meeting, so.
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't really say anything to anybody else. I don't really, I'm not close to the other people involved, but, last time we were conversing like on Facebook Messenger, about it, so, but I didn't do any of that, because I thought, they would already know about it, and if they wanted to come, then they would come, but we're the only ones here. So, and we didn't even reach out to you initially. I mean, I'm
Okay.
glad somebody, whoever did. But, we were set to go to the hearing at the courthouse. Was it a couple of weeks, last week or a couple of
I
weeks
believe
ago?
it was the week before last.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and, then we heard that, it's, I don't exactly know what happened, if it's just like canceled altogether because she said she had the dog out of state. So, first of all, as far as that's concerned, Andre was walking our other dog around New Year's, and that dog was in the yard. Her dog was here in West Brookfield, in her yard, he saw it. Maybe it still is out of state, but then, I'm concerned about, well, first of all, the people where she's brought the dog to, the other state. If it is out of state, I don't think that's fair to whoever, is gonna have to deal with this dog that's been deemed dangerous and has attacked, other dogs and people even. And, and what's the guarantee that she's not gonna, like, even if the dog isn't here today, is there any there's no guarantee that she's not gonna bring the dog back. She lives right around the corner from us.
So,
Does Michael want to answer? Give us an update.
Sure. Do you want me to provide an answer?
yes, please.
Okay. So hi, Mike Terry from Petrini Associates. So what did happen was we were on for a hearing. The select board, in consultation with me, agreed to continue the hearing and attempt to work out a settlement with the dog owner. And so it is on now for April 10th.
It was March 13th.
It's still pending, so I don't want to get too much into the weeds about what we're negotiating, et cetera, but I understand the concern. But the fact is the dog has been removed from the town voluntarily. They have agreed it will not return. And then we were working on other mitigation efforts, so not just to create a problem for someone else, but to make sure the dog is confined. If the dog is, for instance, in public, then it has to be leashed and muzzled. They have agreed to advise us where the dog is located. They have neutered the dog. The dog is undergoing behavioral training. So there are many steps that have been addressed and that we are talking with them about. And if they were to breach that agreement, for instance, by returning the dog to town or not complying in some way, then we would have a remedy where we would seize the dog, or there are remedies under the statute for non-compliance. So that is all being worked out. So I don't want to get too deep into the details, but that was the decision of the select board to at least try to resolve the matter with them And the fact that the dog is no longer here, obviously, it's not something we could order, but it's something they voluntarily did. And if the dog is in fact gone and out of our jurisdiction, well, that certainly changes the landscape. So that's where we're at. If we do have to go forward on April 10th, I would be touching base once again with all the witnesses. I certainly appreciate all their help and their willingness to testify, which is deeply appreciated.
Michael, is it March 13th or is it April 10th?
I believe it is April 10th.
Okay, the last I've seen was March 13th, that's why I was questioning if it's been postponed
Okay.
again, or,
It was a matter of working with my schedule, the other attorney's schedule, and the court's schedule.
okay.
And again, where we are in the process is they have a right to appeal the select board's order. That goes to a clerk. The clerk decides whether or not the order is proper. Whatever he decides could then be appealed again, and it would be a brand new hearing before a judge of the district court. A total do-over. So we're in phase 2 of that process.
Okay, well, I didn't know that there was another hearing scheduled already. I thought that was the end of it, that the board was just gonna talk to her about it and see what measures she had in place, and then, so I was really upset about it because I thought,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
Nothing's gonna be done.
No,
No.
no.
That's not the case, but certainly, I understand you saw the dog on April 1st. Hopefully, you won't see it again. If you do see the dog, obviously, let me and the animal control officer,
Take
the select board,
pictures.
someone know.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I may have kicked myself many
Yeah.
times.
So, what was I gonna say? So doesn't the town, this is our other question too, doesn't the town have any authority, when something like this happens? It doesn't seem like you have any authority to do anything,
That's the authority we had, but they had the right to appeal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she
And
postponed it,
and we can't order the dog removed, so she voluntarily removed it. And once the dog is removed from the town, it really ties our hands, because
But
our orders aren't enforceable in other towns.
So if somebody's dog attacks another dog, or even say a person, then the town has no authority to remove the dog immediately? The dog is gonna stay with her? That doesn't seem right either.
There is a process. We have to follow the
Strange.
process like everybody else.
Yeah, it's all laid out in the statute, so you have to follow the process of the statute. You have to hold a public hearing before the select board, which is what was done. You have to listen to witnesses and make a decision, which was done. And then, but then she has a right of appeal under the statute. And so that's where we're at.
Okay, so is that
I mean,
right?
if the animal control officer finds the dog back at the house, though, the animal control officer can obviously administer fines, correct?
I don't know if she has the ability to issue fines.
Or to quarantine the dog if it's back?
Yeah, I mean, if there is a violation of the order, once we amend the order, then there are remedies, including the dog can at that point be seized, and she could be prevented from licensing a dog for 5 years. So there are pretty harsh penalties available under the statute. But obviously, the biggest concern for the town is the safety of the neighborhood. And obviously, if the dog is no longer in the neighborhood, not that was our doing, but if it's not going to be there anymore, that at least provides hopefully some comfort for the neighbors.
I think it would be important for the dog officer to know that if the dog does show up, what rights the dog officer has to be able to respond.
Yeah, because if
Absolutely.
the dog was voluntarily removed.
Correct.
So it's not like the dog was ordered to be removed, so if she has the dog back on her property, is that even a violation of anything?
Well, and
If
that's what,
he's
I just
in-
wanna
if
make
he
sure the
is-
dog officer, if she gets the phone call, she knows where she stands, what she legally can do in this situation.
But that
and
only
the,
pertains Michael, that just pertains to once the order is issued after the court date and all of that, right? Once a settlement agreement is in effect, that's when she has the ability to seize the dog. But up until that point, she does not have that authority, correct? Just like she,
I think that's correct, yeah.
yeah.
But, again, we're hopeful that the dog is no longer present, so that shouldn't be an issue. But obviously, if it becomes an issue, then that blows up our whole process, and we're back to square one. Yeah.
Could I just ask one more question? If
Yeah.
when the settlement agreement, if there is a settlement agreement executed, would that agreement contain that language of the statute that would provide the authority to the dog officer
To seize the dog.
to seize the dog? Would that language be incorporated into that?
Yeah, we would likely reference that provision of the statute.
Okay, and then we could provide the copy of that agreement to the dog officer?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay,
Uh,
okay,
Once it's finalized and approved,
Yeah.
then it would be a public record, and obviously the animal control officer would want to know
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
what the terms are. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
So we don't have a dog pound in our town. So if that did happen, I mean, I know I'm jumping ahead, but if that did happen, and the
There-
dog officer sees the dog,
Mhm.
she has some place to
she
put the dog.
does. She has agreements with other communities that have shelters in place.
Okay.
So like one location would be in Palmer, or actually it's actually in Munson, but it's a shared facility between a few towns, and I know that our animal control officer has been in contact with them. And I believe in one of the Brookfields or out the other way, she also, so she has various locations that she could tap into. Those fees are not incurred by the town. The owner of the dog would have to pay those charges that would be issued by the town that is holding the dog.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, well, I guess we just have to move on to the next process, April 10th.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let us know if anything changes.
Oh,
Okay.
Of
Yep.
course.
All right.
That's what we know right now.
okay.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you. for
Okay, are
coming
you
out.
all done with me, folks?
I believe so. Thank you,
Okay.
Michael.
Thank you.
Bye.
You bet. Have a good night, everyone. Take
Thank
care.
you.
And
You can't see me, but I'm waving.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your time.
All right, the next item on our agenda is to determine whether Prop 2.5 override ballot question will be placed on the May 2026 local election or special election following June 2026 special annual town meeting. My opinion is that it should be on the May ballot.
I think it brings more people on a regular May. My concern is information always seems to come up at town meeting. People discuss things. And I just remember last year, people asking a lot of questions, and then after the fact, thinking that they were gonna go after to determine whether, well, if I knew that then, I would have approved it. And I don't know how much of that's really out there for an appetite for an override to begin with. I think the information sessions are good, but I think people get a lot of information, and those are the people that make an effort to come out to vote at town meeting, get a lot of information. And that's the only concern I have about having it beforehand. Because then we're going to town meeting, it's gonna be one version, and there's no going back after that.
How often can we put it on the ballot? How often can we put a
So-
Prop 2.5 override on the ballot? Can we do it both ways? If it fails in May, but we feel like the appetite has changed after the annual town meeting, can we do it again in, say, July?
Well, I don't really have an answer to that question.
And I
Never
know
thought
there's-
of it before, but What I have put a lot of thought into are the public informationals and how those are gonna go. And then when we wrap those up, there will be like, one that pretty much summarizes and encompasses all of them. And I'll be asking the school to be able to meet and hold these there. So, I don't know the answer to your question as far as how often, if, you know.
I think the big thing you said, you'd have to have a ballot ready so many days before the election would
has to be.
happen. So it's not like you can do one the next week.
No, you couldn't.
Yeah.
No, but my fear is that if we
Yeah.
go into this budget period without even the attempt at a 2.5 override, it will be,
I think we have to ask
Not
voters,
good.
we have to put it to them one way or the other. It's really a matter of where they're gonna see the most information and understand, if you select this, this is what's gonna happen. If you select that, this is what's gonna happen, because,
I think we can do that effectively in May. I think we can have, and we did this, when we did this 2 years ago, we had great turnout at the senior center for every, and I think we did 3 of them.
yeah.
And then, I don't know what our turnout will be for the May election. Generally, it's a couple of hundred folks if it's not a
Yeah.
presidential election, or if it's not, although I think,
It depends if there's,
yeah, if
anybody.
there's a state rep or a senator up.
Yeah.
Um,
And I don't know how much the cost of an election.
Special, I
yeah,
know.
the special's a couple $1,000s.
Yeah.
And how can we justify that when we have no money going into the,
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, you have the printing of the ballots and,
Yep.
and all of that, so that would be twice.
and you have to pay the
Um,
employees?
And Brad's on too, so I think last time he may have been missing, I'm not sure, but if you
You wanna
wanna
call?
include. Brad, what are your thoughts?
The 2.5, I mean, I think we're just gonna have to bring it to the people and see what they really what they're gonna do. We gotta tell them what they're gonna be looking at if it doesn't happen, and let them make their decision, unfortunately.
The question at hand though, Brad, is do we do it on the May ballot, or do we do it after the annual town meeting? Do we hold a special election after the annual?
I say you'd have your most population at the end of the annual town meeting over the May, because we usually have a decent amount of turnout on our annuals. Especially with all our hot ticket dollar items that have been popping up, I think we're gonna have a decent show out, considering if we bring up that 2.5 and kind of get it out there,
So it
but
would
get
mean
ahead of
that,
it, so you know,
that would
people
mean
aren't
an
putting up
election,
signs.
that would mean an election in July.
Yeah.
Or late July, early August.
For an election? For the special election, you mean, for the question?
Yeah. It'd be,
So,
s-
Brad, are you saying to do it with our regular town election or after town meeting?
I'd say after town meeting,
Okay.
you're gonna have most of your people there.
well, we'll have people
Well,
at the town meeting, but that doesn't mean they'll come out and vote in July or August when we actually have the special election.
Well, it wouldn't have to be July or August, you just have to set up a date
Right.
in June, of this would be the date. Whether you have it on May's or not as well, you could set up the date,
But I
like
mean, that,
June 20th or whatever.
correct, yeah. But that'd be the best time to say, hey, listen, this is getting brought up, this is gonna be the next special town election, or however we label it, and then at least at that point, everyone hears and sees the outcomes of what we're trying to do, so we're not gonna be battling the, I mean, we still probably will, but, we, necessarily won't have the signs out saying vote the 2.5 down, and people saying that we've been non-transparent. I mean, right at the end of the meeting, we're telling people what we're trying to do, and make that decision onto them.
So you want to hold a special election as soon as the annual town meeting as we can, after the annual town meeting as we can.
Yes.
Go ahead, Teresa.
I know, I'm so sorry.
No,
Nothing
But
to be
I'm-
sorry
I'm
about.
thinking
it's not
that
an
there's-
easy thing, yeah.
There's a lot to absorb
Mhm.
at an annual town meeting to begin with.
Mhm.
So, to me, I just see a clearer path if we are really strategic about our public informationals. We are targeting the specific formats, the messaging, all of that, where it's really pretty much unavoidable. Like, you are going to hear it and see it one way or another over and over and over again.
Let me ask you this. This would probably maybe be the happy medium. I know the
Well-
budgets are gonna be developed over a period of time. But the information sessions, you know, depending on the time, if people see, this is the budget you're gonna approve if it's yes, and this is what it's gonna approve if no, and this is our, to just say, this is gonna get cut, isn't gonna work.
No.
Well, so how, all right, so let's say we hold it after the annual town meeting. So that means we only go to town meeting with one budget with $600,000 in cuts. That's the reality. We can't go in with a budget that we can't fund, right? So we go in with a budget with 600,000 in cuts, which means, cutting the school. It means more than likely cutting a police officer, cutting some, closing the senior center for a day, at least one day a week, and so on and so forth. Serious cuts.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the budget we have to go with if we do not put it on the ballot in May. And so we have the special election in July. Let's say it passes in July. Does that mean we have to have a special town meeting to increase our budgets?
Yes.
Yeah. The only other way that I've seen it done in a number of other towns is there's two columns.
budgets. Yeah.
There's two columns on one piece of paper. If it's approved, you're voting this number. If it fails, it's this number. And that's what you're voting.
Contingent upon the vote.
So you're approving
Continuing
both
on
of
the
them.
vote the next month?
Yes, it's just like the debt exclusion. You're saying yes as long as that passes. And if the two numbers are not even on two separate pieces of paper, two columns, every department.
But you would
That's what I
want to
mean.
do that, you would still want to do that before July, otherwise you,
Well, you'd be
Like,
doing
wouldn't
that
that
at your
kinda-
annual town meeting.
right, but what I'm saying is that you would need to have the ballot.
Right after the annual town meeting, before the start of the fiscal.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but you can set a date for it. I think when you get into July and August, you're talking too many people are away
Or
on
on
vacations.
vacation and
Yeah.
all of that.
And it needs to be for the fiscal year.
I do believe that we can get all of that information out and clearly explained and put forward and go ahead with the May election, and then we know what we're walking into for town meeting. And that to me is the cleanest route.
I don't have any problem doing the May. My concern is, I don't think the information sessions are gonna work as well as the think, and I think then we're gonna have no override passed. We're gonna have to make the cuts. And at
We
town,
tried, we
I know.
tried the override with information sessions before and it didn't pass.
right. And then we got to town meeting, and people that hadn't gone to the information or didn't realize, it's like we had all the meetings about the lights. Until we said, we're not turning the lights on, then we had somebody not happy about it, but then somebody came forward.
Was the school a part of it too?
Oh, yes, we asked them to
override?
participate.
Yeah.
And did
Yeah.
they? Was there an informational for the school?
We asked them to put out messages for us, just like we did with everything
Yeah, but
else.
we never threatened to really cut the school like we are this time. And we don't really have last time, the override wasn't just to meet operating expenses. It was to try to get other things done. This time, we're just trying to meet our operating expenses.
Yeah.
So,
Level service. So
Um,
no additional.
It's a little bit of a different circumstance this time
All
around.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Whatever you guys decide, we'll Well,
I think my only concern is
Prepare.
if we do it just in May, the chances of it passing are not good, is my concern. And then at town meeting, people that either didn't go, didn't understand that, are gonna say, but can we have another election to put it out there again, is my only concern.
Hopefully, even with
it was
these
voted
meetings,
down 72%.
but even with, now meetings are being shown on TV
Yes.
and they're being, on YouTube, so hopefully this is helping to educate the voters.
Yeah.
The watch rates are increasing,
Good.
which is great.
We're great entertainment.
And
We put the fun in dysfunctional.
and with I've had discussions as late as Friday with Access TV
Mm-hmm.
and how we could use that platform
Yeah.
also.
Oh, yeah, because we could create some kind of a video and put it on a loop, presentation on a loop.
Yeah.
All right, any other further discussion on this topic?
No, I'm okay if we do it with
Does-
May, I'm just.
Does
my
somebody want to,
concern.
well, I need a motion for
Yeah.
something.
I'll make a motion to put it on the, with reservations, to put it on the May one. Okay. How's that? Is there a second?
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right,
All right.
next item is the town administrator report.
I got a lot for you. So.
No, we don't have these on the warrant
We
either.
we don't,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're just not on there, but
can we do this
I
if they're
noticed the
not on
pile.
the?
I
I
noticed
know,
the
but
pile.
it's not on the agenda.
Unexpected. Yeah,
Hmm?
other business.
Other business, all right.
absolutely.
Okay, people to be paid.
Yeah.
Bills to-
Oh,
And
why?
bills to be paid. Yeah.
All right, so the first thing we'll talk about is the fiscal 2027 budget. And I know you've heard this over and over again, but I feel as though folks are watching.
Yep.
And we need to really drive the message. So for the public, I want to explain again that we have requested 2 budgets from every department. One being level serviced, and what that means is it's not level funded, but level service. And that would include the 2.5% salary increase and up to a 2% increase in expenses. And then what we're doing is no more than what is required in order to maintain the services. Then the second budget is the reduced budget, and that is a budget being presented that has significant cuts for all departments. There isn't a department in the budget that will not have cuts one way or another.
Yeah.
And that is in preparation if the Proposition 2.5 override were to fail.
Yep.
Those are significant cuts. There'll be cuts in operations, there'll be cuts in services, there will be, and in some cases, cuts in staffing.
Mhm.
After reviewing the most current numbers and conferring with John, we've estimated right now to be looking at about what originally we thought would be around a $600,000 gap. That has increased to about a $720,000 gap. Mind you, these are estimates at this point. We'll continue to work on the hard numbers. But that's a large gap to fill in our operating budget. And we do not have the source that had been used year after year after year, which was free cash. If if we were to invite the Division of Local Services in today and ask them to review where we're at, they would normally suggest, okay, you've used free cash in a large amount year after year, so we would recommend that you phase it down so that you begin to not settle on using your free cash like that. The fact of the matter is that in good conscience, the state could not certify a larger amount of free cash, and that's because of our use of free cash, largely in part. So all we have certified is 281,000. So it's really important that we don't use free cash if at all possible. We don't have it to use. So we don't have it really to phase down.
Yeah.
Now, we had, John and I have met with several departments reviewing their budgets, and as of the last review, we note that the budgets so far have reduced the budget by 170,000. Now with the new number, I know that advisory and the board had discussed that the gap is a shared gap, so between the town and the school, because the school makes up 50%, the municipality makes up the other 50.
Yeah.
So if we were to take that 720 and we were to split that 50-50, you're looking at 360.
Yeah.
So we still have 190,000 to try to reduce. So these are tough cuts.
Yeah.
There's two departments that had come the first round. We've asked them to come back. So I'll be meeting with one of them. John and I will be meeting with one department on Thursday, and several other departments that have submitted, and those do have some significant cuts in them as well. Also, Beth and I have been working together. We've reviewed contracts. Beth has been reviewing contracts and has made calls. We found that, we had a contract that when I look at that, I could see that it was executed for a 5-year term, which is not allowable. Your maximum is a 3-year term for goods and services, for really most contracts without town vote. Now you can get a 5-year contract, you can enter into that, but only with permission of the voters.
What was the 5-year contract?
This one was for CBS, and
CBS
that
Xerox,
is
yeah.
the Xerox company. So Beth had reached out to them, and the gentleman had come out, and he's reviewing, and Beth has just notified him that there was no town vote allowing for 5 years. So that potentially allows us to reopen that.
Yeah.
And renegotiate. And there's also some other cost-saving measures that we've been thinking about and implementing. Beth has just recently reached out to all the departments about really being careful on what they're printing, because we get charged per copy. You're allowed per the contract, if you're under that contract.
Yep.
For the Xerox, you're allowed so many copies,
Yep.
black and white, so many color.
Yep.
If you exceed those, now you've got an additional charge.
Charge, yeah.
And we had noticed, Beth handles those bills, so she
Yeah.
really noticed that some of those are really significant. So she's reminded the departments to be very conscientious about that.
Do we have any way of tracking who's making the copies?
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yes.
I pre-coded everything as well.
Yes, we
so,
do.
Yeah.
We sure do.
okay,
Yes.
that's fine.
That's another discussion.
Yep, all right.
Are their budgets paying for it? Does it come out of a central budget?
Beth,
It's just
It's a
out of
central
the
rate.
CBS contract.
which
yeah.
is one of the,
Programs.
which is one of the budget line items that
It's all
the
under
select
the
board
select board.
office
Right.
is
But
responsible for.
everybody keeps an eye on their budget, but if it's not coming out of their budget.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we have a way to look at the invoices and
Mhm.
see what's happening.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to monitor that and,
Yeah.
you know, so
Address it.
I think everybody will take that into consideration.
It's not free.
So, we're continuing to have conversation with the elementary, with the Quabog Regional. And then you saw the invite to Pathfinder for their budget presentation.
Yeah, why are they inviting us to their budget presentation? We're not a member.
No, but we've had students that go. And so,
We actually asked to come to see us, to
We
come
have-
to
like I
come to
said,
one of our
we
meetings.
have no say over it. It's a state published number, that's what it is.
but it would be nice to see where we're landing. You know, we've been asked to go, you know what, it's down the
Yeah.
road from my house,
Yeah.
so.
No, I just gonna say, I
think it'd be
saw the
good to
invitation
be
and I was
there.
wondering, only reason is the previous town administrator wanted us to join them
Oh,
as a member
well,
and like buy in as a partner.
Oh, I thought you meant join him at the meeting. I was gonna say,
No.
listen, you're all welcome to join me.
No.
Otherwise, I will just report back.
Yeah.
I've also, I have a meeting with Senator Durant's office for February 23rd,
Mhm.
and that is to discuss our priorities for fiscal '27 state budget. And I had drafted that letter, that email,
Yep.
and a letter, and I wanted your review, and if you are good with that. I did see after, of course, I hit send, there's some little tweaks that I'd like to make to it, but the substance
Yep.
is there. And so if you are good with that, and I realized before I hit the send, it's a big ask. But I feel very strongly that the state is not gonna know the town's position
Mm-hmm.
if we're not telling them, if we're not
Right.
screaming
Yep.
from the hills.
The raptors.
And so the three priorities,
Mhm.
number one, school,
Yeah.
right?
absolutely.
So with the assessment and/or 100% reimbursement for the transportation. I know it's a big ask, but
I really would like to, it was on my mind after I read the email.
mhm.
There's a really basic piece that I think is lacking understanding on an individual town piece. Because in my mind, I looked at that last night and I looked at what we're able to increase our taxes by. And that's all the resource we have really, is, and the 2.5 was 230, 40, somewhere around that neighborhood.
Yeah.
250. But yet the minimum local contribution for the school by itself, the minimum, went up $302,000.
Yes.
You know, this is the argument we've been making for years.
But this is the part that I think we need to drive home. It's impossible to raise just that amount with our taxes. We can't do it. Never mind every other department budget we have.
Yes.
No,
yes.
this is that's
But I
what
don't
we've
think
been
that-
saying.
I can add stronger language to that and really
Well,
drive that.
Sometimes it's the explanation in person at the meeting kind of piece of.
I could
what
do
I've
that.
found sometimes is when I've met with legislators before, when I worked for the school, is their understanding, they don't understand those specifics,
Gotcha.
and then they go, oh,
Yeah.
I see
yeah.
what you're saying.
Yep.
Then it clicks.
Okay.
Like, we're not screaming, we have no money. No, look at this one thing. Explain to me how we're supposed to do that.
Mm.
It doesn't make sense. Something's wrong.
Yeah. I'll also give them a copy of the perfect storm
Yeah.
report
Yeah.
on municipal finances in Massachusetts. So I wanted to have your input, what your thoughts were on that. I will make the couple of small tweaks that, I noticed after because I've read it 100 times.
Mhm.
But I'm hoping you found it acceptable. The three largest pieces.
Yeah.
And I felt that we really
You had the
needed to
school
put
as number
that.
one. What did you have as two?
There
and
was
three?
library.
Okay,
and
yeah,
that's 750,000.
yeah.
And there was also the MSBA project
For the elementary.
for
windows
the
and doors.
elementary school, and they are gonna send over, I sent a reminder over to Stephen. I spoke with Nicole about it on Thursday, that, you know, we're waiting for the packet to come over. I haven't had,
What are they planning?
So-
Like, where are they with that right now?
yeah, I don't know, I need the packet, I need a conversation with, Steve. I've been talking with Nicole, but it seems like there's some information that I
So they
need.
haven't really voted it and said, we're moving forward.
Right,
and-
right,
and
right. I
Town,
don't
here,
think it's
here you need to
got-
appropriate the money. or-
Exactly,
Okay, so
right.
it's not to that point yet.
And,
Okay.
and so what I explained in the email to Steve was that we really need to understand what our share is, but also the timing,
Mhm.
you know. It was, so, there's
Mm.
that. Okay,
Okay.
and now we'll move on to the next piece. Yeah, we'll move on to the next piece, which is the preparation for the Prop 2.5 override. I had a pretty long but great meeting with the financial team. So it was Donna, Jillian, John, and David from assessors from RRG, and we went over a lot to figure out how to move forward with this. So we discussed several areas of preparation and the narratives. So
Mhm.
what is that? What is the main narrative that we need? So we really broke that down.
Mhm.
We also talked about the materials and the data that we need. We talked about the formats that we should be putting this information together in, but also the voice, to make sure that we're not, I mean, there's a lot of statute involved,
Yeah.
right? But let's break it down into common terms, you
Right.
know, where we can
Understandable.
all understand it.
Yep.
And I think that's really, really important to do that.
Yeah.
I also think that it is important that we are not just dumping a bunch of visuals onto people
Mhm.
with all this stuff and
Yeah.
statutory language and
Yeah.
all of that. Let's make it simple and answer their questions, what they really, really, really want to know
Yeah.
about this. The other thing, so in the messaging from all the departments that'll be participating in this, but the other thing that is really important that we talked about was the importance of rebuilding trust,
Mhm.
credibility, confidence,
Yep.
and all of that. And so part of that led us into the discussion of, you know, how do we show commitment, because we understand this is huge.
Mhm.
How do we show our commitment on our end that we are doing everything we need to do, and we're also not looking at the short-term fix, but we are setting the measures for long-term,
Mhm.
because there's a lot of work we need to do for the long term
Yeah.
to take the ship and turn it, because the last place we want to be is coming back over and over and over, right? So how do we do that? Well, we have things that we can put into place, and one of those things would be financial policies. Those are really, really important.
Mhm.
And so we did discuss that, and as a result of that discussion, we thought that it would be a good idea to reach out to the Division of Local Services, see if they will do an audit per se, but guide us in policies that would fit, for financial policies that would fit the town. I reached out to Zachary Blake, and he responded right back and said that in April there is a class that they're putting on. He asked if I'd be interested in attending that. They have it scheduled in Chicopee,
Mhm.
and I could bring a member from the team, and that would be a good opportunity to get some one-on-one as well, but
Yeah.
to work on that. So would we have policies in place before the vote? Probably not.
Yeah.
But we will be in the process of working on those. And so anyway, it was a really productive meeting. As part of that, David Manzello, and he is the president and chief assessor or regional assessor. He is working here for the assessors because the other David retired. And I don't know if you've gone to their website, the assessor's website, but if you do, you're going to see a huge change. There's a lot of great information now for the taxpayers to take a look at. A lot of great information, and he put together a pamphlet. So when people go in, they can grab a pamphlet, and it answers a lot of questions.
Okay.
But one thing that he brought up is that the town never adopted, what is it, General Law 41, I believe? Yeah. And that is the senior exemptions for your senior citizens.
We talked about that 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh,
We
you-
brought it to town meeting, town meeting?
Did we? I remember talking about it.
I
We'd
know
have
we
to look at
talked
the
about it,
history.
we went to Selectmen and the advisory, we approved, I thought it had gone to town meeting, but maybe I'm thinking we were bringing it, but it never got there.
Okay.
Well, what is this?
It was
what
a
is-
work-off program.
Oh,
Yeah.
you were
yeah.
talking about the work-off.
Okay,
No,
that's
this is
exemptions.
No, remember
Regular
that- I got
exemptions.
yelled at
Yeah.
about the work-off program.
And so
Okay.
that's a big deal.
What do you mean we never accepted it, so the elderly aren't getting any exemptions?
Right. That's what it
You're
sounds like.
kidding?
Uh-huh.
Okay, then, yeah, that needs
So
to be
we'll,
fixed.
we'll put that on town meeting, but that may actually be in part why you don't have a whole lot of volunteers for the work-off program, because, I mean, it would be really sweet if you got, an exemption plus the work-off.
Right.
How does the exemption work?
There's
Well, they file an abatement,
Yeah.
and they submit all the required documentation.
There's exemptions that are
And,
allowed for certain categories,
Yeah. So
whether it's,
he
yeah.
did mention there's the 41C, or there's 41C and a half, which is a little bit different. So we need to do a little bit of research
Yeah.
on that. I think 41C and a half may require a ballot vote, so we'll check into that.
Yeah, that's
But if
gonna
nothing
require
else,
some
at
research.
least, if we could get 41C going,
Well, I think it would be helpful if
it would be
if it's
very
out
helpful.
there. Why haven't we offered it to seniors that's out there?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't
I mean,
know. But
I mean, it's a reduction in the tax dollars, but it's for the people
well, that's
that
where you have
need
the
it.
overlay.
Right, the exemptions.
That's for the
yeah,
exemptions. So
Right.
so anyway, that came forward, and then there was another item that he brought forward was the Hopkinton bill. I think it's under a different name now, but that bill allows supplemental billing that can be captured for new construction. So he thought that could be very helpful.
Oh, I know they do that.
Well, this was a little different, so I'll get more information on that, but that might be something to consider.
Okay.
After Thursday's budget meetings, then I'm hoping that the following week I'll be able to start having meetings with the groups. So, I'm gonna start with public safety
Yeah.
and kind of strategize and see how that public informational will be structured. That'll consist of highway, police department, fire department. So that's gonna group them
Yeah.
and do them that way. Fire chief interviews are scheduled for tomorrow.
Excellent.
The town clerk will be arriving around 5:30 to swear in the committee members. And they've all been provided, the interview questions and the scoring sheets. I think I had sent them to you a few weeks back. Those documents have not been shared with the committee members. They will be handed out at the pre-meeting at 5:45 tomorrow. So just wanted to keep it
This
nice
is for the interview committee.
This is for the interview
Okay.
committee, yep. So we'll have that pre-meeting, we'll discuss it, we'll go over the scoring sheets. So we'll be good there. And then we would hope to be able to have recommendation, narrow it down to 3 candidates. I'll be present, I won't be participating in the interviews tomorrow night, but I will be present. And we would hope that the third, you'd have the 3 candidates to be able to interview.
Excellent.
Community Development Block Grant. So you all have, I think that you have a copy of this,
Yeah.
right? And then you also have a copy of the Community Development Strategy.
Yep.
Yep.
So not that I expect you to review it all now, this is a
Yep.
fairly lengthy document,
Yep.
but it gives a good overview of what we're looking at. To sum it up, the projects that we would be looking at for this year, or for fiscal '27, would be what they're calling the depot area. That's down by the senior center.
Yep.
You remember there was a grant application put in. We had a meeting with CMRPC maybe a couple of months ago. Cammie was in attendance.
Yep.
Jim Daly, and Ann from Highway, and myself, CMRPC. We had decided to look at CDBG funding because I realized that the town hasn't tapped into those funds. Those are federal funds that are funneled through the state. And so we looked into that, and West Brookfield does qualify for the funds. It's that the projects that you would apply for have to be within an area that serves low to moderate income. And so what that meant is that, you know, we have to do surveys for those areas. So far, the information coming back in the surveys are looking in our favor that we will be eligible. So we hope that we hit the right number of surveys that need to be completed. It was discussed that if we do and we can move forward with the application, then that project we can get planning done, we can get funding through the CDBG, and then we can pair that with the Mass Works grant. We'll have shovel ready, but also it can be used as the town's contribution for the Mass Works grant. So that's a big, because you'll remember we had set aside at annual town meeting, $100,000 was our contribution. So by being able to take this grant and use that for that other grant is a big deal.
Gives us back the 100,000.
And then there's the downtown area to take a look at any infrastructure that we might need there. With the depot area project, that would also include, below ground. So it would include the any water lines that need to be replaced. So we would work with the water department and all of that. But it'll deal with sidewalks. It'll make it safe. And then the last item that we will be applying for would be for the ADA plan. And the town had one done, but it's so out of date, it needs to be updated. And for a lot of different federal funds, as we discussed at that meeting, or was brought forward at that meeting, was that you need to have a current one to be eligible for a lot of the funding that's out there. So, so Thursday, the meeting is going to be down at the senior center. And everybody is welcome to go, but you can also join by Zoom. This is on the Senior Center website. It's also on the town's website. I will be in attendance for that. And it starts at 6 o'clock on Thursday down at the Senior Center. Uh, And those community development block grants, I want to say they're like upwards of $700,000-800,000. So I mean, those are resources to tap into
Sure.
if we
Yep.
can do it, right? All right, moving on, we have the Mary Lane Health Group.
Mhm.
And they had their meeting the same date we had our special town meeting.
Yep.
And so, so needless to say, we were focused very much on special
Yeah.
town meeting. There was just no availability to be able to attend. But briefly, the Mary Lane Health Group, they're looking to possibly receive funding to be able to build a urgent care facility and have medical specialties at the old Mary Lane site. And so they're working with the state, they're really trying, and they do have some great momentum. And they're looking for the towns to back them up. And I know that the board you've said that you would support this. It's a great resource for your residents here in West Brookfield. So what I was wondering is there, I'd like to be able to attend, and that it's at this point in time from here through town meeting, I'm not going to be able to breathe, know.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if there's maybe a board member would be interested in, can Beth and I provide a board member's contact information where if you're available, you'd be able to attend and be a voice for West Brookfield. And then I was wondering maybe it would be a good idea to run it by the Board of Health as well. That might be good too. What are your thoughts there?
Go ahead and give them my contact information.
Yeah?
Sure.
And just so you know, they
Hey,
tend to meet.
I would love to help y'all, but I won't be able to be there, fortunately.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a long commute, man.
But yeah,
Most of the
7
time it's
hours.
during the day.
Is it Zoom or is it live in person?
Well, let us find out.
Yeah, if there's like remote access available, I could do it. but
Okay.
Live in person is not an option for me during
Well,
the day.
and depending on the day and the time, I could, and I'm willing to, but my schedule depends on whether I can during the day,
Right.
what day of the week kind of
Okay.
thing.
All right. So is it okay if I provide the coordinator with both of yours and then?
Sure.
And we'll coordinate if you're going, there's no
Okay.
sense in me going, or vice versa. Or if it's remote and you can go on.
Yeah,
Okay. Perfect. All right. Master planning grant, we did receive the duly signed, fully executed contract. So reached out to CMRPC because they wanted to be notified once that was in place. They have been notified, and they have sent over their contract, and I have executed that, but before I send it back, I will have Donna certify that the funds are there. And once that is done, then we can begin our coordination with the planning board and that, and start working on the update. Okay, green communities. I'm sorry.
no,
There's
don't
been a lot.
apologize. It's been
Okay.
a busy,
Yes, it
busy
has.
couple of weeks.
So Beth and I met with Tom LeSueur from Energy Conservation Incorporated. Now, they're the ones that had worked on the projects, the green community projects. Well, our meeting with them was twofold because we have had some significant issues with our heating and cooling system, to the point that when we walk into the office in the morning, this morning it was what, 91 degrees?
91 today.
Great.
And then,
Amazing.
you'll
And the rest of
have,
the building is freezing, right?
well, some of them are very hot, But then you have like, the water department is in its 50s. Police a while back, they were in the 50s, like middle 50s, and then a week later, they're sweating to death. So
No control. No controls.
the problem we've been having is that with this software system, the local gas and plumbing that we've used in the past for different things, they basically take a look at it and go, yeah, well, no. you
Yeah.
know,
Yep.
so we figured, okay, let's go to the source, and we had a credit anyway, so let's use that credit. And so he came in, he's working with Travis, he's provided some temporary relief to get us through. One of the things that we talked about was there are other towns that applied through Green Communities that have the same system, and they've experienced similar issues.
Yeah.
They were able to use Green Community funding to reconfigure the system.
Yeah.
So then that led us into, we had initially, I know I said to you folks, in the fall, we'll apply for Green Communities. Well, there's 2 rounds each year. We probably shouldn't wait.
Yeah.
So we're going to try to get in on this spring round. So
Okay.
it's coming up real quick. So I've notified CMRPC. They're willing. They're ready to go.
Okay.
So we will be coordinating after a little more information has to come forward from ECI, and then we'll coordinate a meeting to kind of ramp up our application and see where we go.
Okay.
So there's the reconfiguration, but there's also, I know I had mentioned to you the HVAC system that's over 30 years old,
Yep.
that's up in the attic.
Yep.
That system to replace is over $90,000. HVAC systems look like they are eligible for Green Communities, so we would include that. Now, the question that we have to bounce off of DOR is it a full coverage, or is it like on one of the, for the heat pumps, I believe we had to kick in, a certain amount for those, because they weren't fully, yet the weatherization and all of that were fully funded. So there's certain projects that aren't completely, but if it's a 10%, 9,000 compared to 90,000,
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's probably, so that's where we are with that. Solar, so we're working with, on solar right now with planning board and council. Roland's been on the call, so we're working through one of the solar projects. We have another one that we need to circle back on, so I'll be circling back. RRG has an individual, that's all he does, he specializes on that. So we'll get them going, because there's opportunity there with the pilot agreement, and we really need to do what we can. I'm not sure if Pure Sky, if there's something with that they've kind of held back, so we'll reach out and see where that's at, and I'll come back with you on that. Cable TV. So Friday, the committee and I had a meeting here, and we spent several hours reviewing charters. So our council had prepared a portion of the contract. We sent it over to Charter. Charter has reviewed and then made changes based on the conference call that we had with them. And so It was interesting. It was a good exercise. We had the original,
Yeah.
we had councils, we had charters, and we went through every single section. And then we narrowed it down. So a lot of it, we made so much progress.
Good.
So we've narrowed it down to specific questions that we have. We did note throughout that our council really has been looking out for us.
Good.
So it was a very good exercise to go through. We've also really strengthened the relationship with Charter. So they are, matter of fact, high-ranking folks actually reached out and apologized for lagging and wanted us to know that our contract is a priority, and they've been so responsive. So it's wonderful.
Good.
And the numbers are looking pretty good, but now we'll have our counter
Yeah.
and go back. But we are trying to keep this moving
Yeah.
expeditiously. Now, there is one thing from the cable committee that they wanted me to ask you about, and that is they have some capital expenditure. They need to drop lines for your meeting room.
Yep.
And some of it has to do with the volumes and this and that, but they need to improve it. The fear is they want to be certain that you plan on using this room for meetings, and you're not going to be, a few months down the road or a year from now saying, you know what, we're going to move down to the school, or we're going to move all our meetings to the senior center, or we're going to go up on the stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they just want to be certain before they do that, because it is an investment.
Yeah.
So just kind of wanted your feedback there.
I can't see us going anyplace else, and there isn't really any other room in the town hall. I mean, we
Yeah.
went from downstairs to up here.
The Great Hall is just too noisy.
It's too big.
Yeah.
It's too echoey.
And I don't see us going to the senior center.
No.
So they can feel confident to.
I would say on
Drop them.
regular meetings,
Yep.
scheduled, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like when it becomes the Proposition 2.5 open sessions,
They
yes, it's gonna
understand.
be down there, it's a
Yes.
bigger room.
Yeah. Yeah.
But regular,
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is.
I would think it'd be here.
All right. Okay. And
Unless we
I
start
think.
getting more than 10 people to meetings.
Well,
And,
we have seating for,
Like 12 or 14.
and I think I'm done. I am so sorry.
there's nothing to apologize for.
No,
It's-
no, you've been
it's a
very
lot
busy.
going on. All right, any other business?
I just wanted to follow up where we are with the roof of this building.
Oh yes. So you saw my email maybe
Mhm.
over the
Yes, I did.
weekend, and I had reached out to the architect and the consultant, and Bob Havelis had deferred to the consultant, and so Brian Lever got back to me today, and he said, no, it's not. It would be nice, but it's not necessary.
Okay.
For
So,
the slate.
application.
Oh,
The slate versus
The application to the
Asphalt.
state.
okay, what are we talking about?
I wanted to know the status of where we were
Right,
with
but
the whole
you're,
thing.
so, we're applying to the state.
For permission
To
to
do the
use
work.
the state line asphalt shingles,
okay.
yes. Yep.
Yes.
But we
Yeah.
need to have that approved.
Right,
Before we could do
but
any
it's
work.
not necessary to have the endorsement of.
Right. But it would have been nice.
It would have been nice.
It would have been
yeah.
nice to
I
have-
would have thought they would have,
Would have had that when we were.
yes, yeah.
Discussion when we had the consultant and the architect and everybody else
All
on
on
the
the
phone.
line
We've had so
discussing
many
state
people,
line.
That's why I was surprised that
And why
there's
we
been
landed
no
on state line.
no information about it. I was a little
But-
surprised about that.
But then I was thinking perhaps that was like from past maybe, because we have been very, very good about it. Beth and I both, like if we see emails come forward and they don't include, we make sure we forward it on
I
and,
think it's definitely
you
been
know. So,
a problem with history.
Okay.
over a period of time, just like
Yeah.
they had identified that
I mean, at first
they
I
brought
was,
it to our attention for 25 years to
Yeah.
the Board of Selectmen that this work needs to be done, and
well, they did, and I mean, I had those reports with me at town meeting, at
Yeah.
special town meeting.
yeah,
You know, I have poured through those.
yeah.
And Louise was gracious enough to share those reports
Yeah.
with me, and you could clearly see
Yeah.
that, yes. And so I think that's what.
Well, and I think that's the
Yes.
current group is trying to move it forward in every
Yeah.
way, shape, or form, the best way we can.
Yeah.
We're not
Right.
ignoring it, we're trying to do something about it.
Yep.
But-
Yep.
All right, so pending that application, so that's going forward.
Yeah. Yep.
And where are we with either the specifications, the bid, the work, the contract, where are we?
We shouldn't be putting that out until we have permission. Like, if we put an RFP out
Yeah.
for State
Oh,
Line,
because it was saying, yeah, okay.
you know,
Yeah.
so,
Subject to change, yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So now we're gonna wait 60 days before we can even bid.
Right, but we should be ready, I mean,
But-
I would hope that when we get permission,
Mhm.
if we get
That's
permission,
right.
So-
if we get permission, like
Yeah,
the
we're
next
just
day,
not-
we can put it out.
Yeah.
So I guess
Yeah.
the question would
ready.
be, are the bid specifications being developed pending that one piece that might change? I mean, it's a process to do the whole bid specification.
Yeah. I will circle back with Bob on that,
Okay.
because I'm not gonna write those specs.
No,
Those will
the
be,
architect needs to
Uh-huh.
do that.
Mhm.
so, I will definitely follow up with him on that.
Okay. And
Okay.
the only other question I had is, at town meeting, there was a letter, report, whatever you want to call it, from the structural engineer.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first time I had seen that report, letter, whatever you want to call it. I know during November, when Bob came, he mentioned, well, the engineer said we need to do something for the first snowfall, and that's all he really said. So when I was reading that report
Mm.
that night,
Mhm.
I was surprised that he was recommending, if nothing else, you need to do this before snow falls.
Yeah, yeah.
Which, doing some piece of work, and that's what I had asked, if that piece of it was done, and he had said no, that it wasn't. But, you know, because of money wise, and I said, but did we even get a quote to know how much that piece would have cost? That's my concern. So that information never came forward easily from the architect to us to say, we need to do this. And how
Yeah,
can we do this?
I don't think that a quote was given just for that. I think the complication is, like, while the roof's up there,
Yeah.
like, I think that might have been what he was, like, I don't think that,
When-
I can ask
When
though
I
if.
read the structural report from the structural engineer, and it indicated that they recommended this one thing, and I can't remember what, I think they call them
Yeah.
crickets, be installed before the first snowfall. So my question was, was it done? Okay, did we not do, how much was it? Did we get a quote? Because,
I mean,
No, it has not. None of that. That's all inclusive in the quotes
right,
there.
but in my,
But I believe that it couldn't be done on its own. And I think that's because they have to open that roof up. And if you're gonna open it up to that extent, you better replace it.
I see, yeah,
Um,
I remember the discussion, now, you're right.
Mhm.
Because it was once.
I know to do
It-
the
to-
end of the
to-
rafters,
to just-
definitely.
To
but-
just do that part of it,
Yeah,
and then do the rest of it later on would have cost a lot more monies.
okay. Because that was a piece I looked at when I read that report, is, you know,
Sure.
to install the crickets.
Right.
I think that's what they call it. To install that piece before snowfall gave it more support. And I understand, you know, the end of the rafters and joists and everything else are a different thing. That needs to be done with the roof open.
Mhm.
Because you gotta do a lot of work. The crickets, I wasn't sure, I don't know if they said that, but that to me would have been something that, knowing that, would have, knock on wood, helped save something if something were to happen. And if we hadn't gotten a quote and said there was no money, well, that to me is like a perfect thing to go to get a reserve fund transfer to get that amount of work done before the winter to save that roof from anything happening.
Yeah, but I don't think that that was the option.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so,
That's why I was confused when I
Yep,
read
gotcha.
the report.
Yep.
I was, dumbfounded of, I didn't know that, so why didn't we do anything?
okay,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. And, yeah, those are the only two things that I had that I wanted to get updated on.
All right, how about we do these
Yep. Under other business,
under other business?
we have a payroll warrant. Do we have a number?
17.
Payroll warrant number 17 and accounts payable warrant number
17.
17 for approval. I'll make a motion. Brad, you still there?
He's muted.
I am still here. Second that motion.
Any discussion?
Sorry,
That's all right.
been a long day. Yeah, I've been up since 3:30.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Is there anything else in here besides those two warrants? 17, that, I
No.
don't, are those just
These are
parts of it?
the-
Okay,
yeah.
it covers.
Any comments, concerns? Our next meeting will be March 3rd at 6 PM. I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, meeting is adjourned.